Telecommunication companies are planning a 40% increase in the cost of calls, SMS and data to the Nigerian Communications Commission due to the rising cost of running a business in the nation. Based on their proposal, the price of calls will increase from 6 naira 4 kobo to 8 naira 95 kobo, while the price cap of SMS will increase from 4 naira to 5 naira 61 kobo. Furthermore, the cost of powering telecommunication services with diesel has surged by at least 233.33% in recent months. The development brings the annual cost of powering telecom services with diesel to 360 billion naira. We take a closer look at this development and the consequential impact on Nigerians. And joining me is Olusegun Okwade, the Chairman, Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, Ikeja District Society. Good to have you on board.
Good morning, Perpetua, and good morning to our viewers this morning. My pleasure to be here.
All right. We're looking at the impact of this, and then we understand that the cost of running businesses in Nigeria is expensive as the days go by. And they are saying that they're incurring 40% more to run their operations. But then, looking at this 40% increase they are proposing, what's your thought on that?
Yeah, well, if we need to take it from the business perspective, I think you need to put in the factors of production that make the whole thing at which an average businessman wants to come out with his pricing. What is the basic thing that this telecommunication needs? You discover that power plays a major role. And if you look at the rate at which they go about the power sector, it's actually been frustrating. The majority of them are because poor network connection on the part of the power sector, having them to resort to the use of alternative power supply like diesel, solar. The cost is immense. Before now, we used to have diesel at the rate of 160 something. It goes to the level of 300. So peak is over 600,000. Now, like you read in your, it's about that accounts for about 233% increase. So if you now put it on the bus.
Okay, Okwade, we can barely hear you at this point. I guess that's something we'll have to resolve. But of course, we're talking about the 40% increase that the telcos are asking for. They have written the NCC saying that with the additional cost of operation, they would have to increase all of the things by 40%. And the question is this justified? Hello, Olusegun, are you with me? Can you hear me?
I'm hearing you loud and clear. I don't know, can you hear me?
Perfectly well. Do go ahead, please.
Okay, so like I was saying, the basic thing that form the crumbs of the operation with the telcos are mostly foreign exchange dominated. The equipment they use, the power sector, which basically they rely on alternative power supply, the cost of getting generator, the cost of getting diesel, the basic amenities that the basic infrastructure that they put in place for us to have good network connectivity are all import-based. None is domesticated. You can imagine the cost at which the foreign exchange has increased. You can imagine the cost of diesel as we speak. So there is nothing, if we want the businesses to survive, rather than we saying that they should just leave. I want to believe that you know that several people are actually exiting business in Nigeria because of cost of operation. So this implies even to the telcos too, if we must survive, there is need for them to increase. But I know that people will ask the question, where is the purchasing power? And that's where we take it back to the government, that they have failed in making provision of some certain things. That is why the company has to all out to make. But business must survive if there will be need for us to grow as individual and as a nation.
All right, you've said a whole lot, but then what impact will this hike have on other businesses? Because to a very large extent, you've justified the increase. So we're looking at the impact of this increase on other businesses.
Yeah, it's a multiplier effect on every businesses. You understand that before now, we go about our business doing so many things, but now the COVID has brought in place situation where you have to make use of data. So when you are increasing this, that means you are increasing an average cost of what you and I will use in transacting business. Possibly the way at which we are talking now, the cost of data will increase, and that will impact on your pulse. It will impact on my pulse. So it will definitely trickle down on an average Nigeria. And that's why we've been saying that the solution to some of these things is for government to put their house in order, do what is needful, create an enabling environment for the businesses so that they can succeed. Make sure that our refineries are working in such a way that we can refine some of these products and we can sell the diesel at a very cheaper rate. Also, make sure that there is power availability. If there is power availability, the cost of having power is much cheaper than you having the other alternative power supply. Can we make this available for all these people to do so that once the cost of running the business is made cheaper, an average person like you and I can definitely grow by doing other businesses rather than we being stiff on the neck with the cost of some of these business implementation.
All right, you've said a whole lot about the challenges and how the federal government can solve this problem. But then do you see any solution in sight to all of these issues, especially the increased energy cost? Do you see any solution in sight in the nearest future?
Yeah, well, as we speak, I don't have any clue to it, because the fundamental of it that I can call the solution is having a refinery. If we can refine our product domestically, it will reduce the cost of diesel, reduce the cost of petroleum. That's one. What consent effort are we doing in the area of foreign exchange in order to bring it down? I have not seen the willingness on the part of the government, rather than we having some of these things, being operated seamlessly. It keeps increasing daily because Nigeria is more of import dependent. So everything that we do flows into the foreign exchange, and everything that they pass, the Telco needs to use for their infrastructure are not manufactured locally. So there must be concerted effort on the part of the government to make sure that majority of the things that we need to do, can we go ahead and see how we can domesticate things? How can we get some of these things done locally, produce some of this infrastructure? If it is steel, revive the Ajaokuta steel industry in such a way that they can make available those towers that they are building in such a way that those things can be fabricated locally rather than importing them. Some of the antenna and some of those other things they are doing. Can we have some of these companies come into the country to make sure that they develop those businesses, and we can have it rather than we spending so much importing them, which will put so much pressure on our foreign exchange. I am not seeing the way out, because those two key areas are very fundamental with telcos. Foreign exchange and power is strategic to them, and until the government is committed to doing the right thing by making sure that our power sector functions the way it should, and the foreign exchange are being brought down in such a way that even if they are going to import, it's going to be minimal, and that will not impact on their businesses. Until we have the concrete agreement and willingness on the part of the government, I don't see anything coming down in time soon.
All right, you've talked about Forex, and you've also mentioned energy. But then the association, they're also talking about something. They're talking about multiple taxes and levies. And then another contributory factor that they have talked about is actually the excise duty of 5%. What do you think the federal government can do about this? Because they're talking about multiple levies and taxes.
Yeah, there are taxes that are attributable to certain businesses. And I want to say that it's obtainable everywhere. They might say that out there, they consolidate it. If you put the cumulative of all the multiple taxes they are talking about, it's not as high as what they are paying in some of this developed world. You put the company income tax, of which so many of them use their withholding to net off on the high side. So you discover that that has actually been taken care of. If you talk about the excise duty, it's because it's a consumable. You and I understand that some of these things too was being charged on carbonated drinks. So tax is the only legitimate way of government raising their revenue, and we just have to get some of this thing being paid off. So excise duty coming into place for the telcos is something that they just have to factor into what they are doing. And I don't impact.
Sheson, can you hear me?
Can be worked on.
Okay, we're having a bit of a challenge hearing. Okay, you just can you rephrase what you just said now? We could barely hear you moments ago.
Okay, so what I'm saying in conclusion is that they should not talk about the.
All right, I get that. I guess he's saying that they shouldn't talk about it because this is what is obtainable in other climes. But the concern is just that at the end of the day, after collecting all these monies, do we see the result? I guess that's what he's trying to say. Can you hear me now?
I'm hearing you very loud and clear. I don't know if you're hearing me too.
I can hear you now. Well, let's move to the next one. Talking about Alton, they've asked the federal government to sign an executive order that will declare telecommunications infrastructure as critical national infrastructure. For them, you know, they put out all of these things as some of the things that will help reduce the cost of production and the cost of running their businesses. And this was one of the things they asked for. What's your thought on that?
It's a welcome development. It's a welcome development because the level at which some of this infrastructure are being vandalized by an average person, if there are no stringent legislation on that part, it might be difficult. Because these things are big capital investment on the part of the telcos. So if that is being done, I think the government will give a listening ear to make that as part of the national infrastructure development program stuff for them to be inculcated, and there will be legislation in protecting some of these infrastructure so that you don't reinvest in what you are invested before now, and that will definitely increase reduce their cost of production, which in turn will reduce the cost at which they will be able to give the service to an average Nigerian.
All right, thank you. In closing now, do you see any impact on general usage of telco services from the general public?
Yeah, a lot, because the way at which the business's dynamics is going now, the impact of telco is strategic. Before now, you travel long distance to have meetings and several things, but we all rely on telco's infrastructure. That is on the aspect of their data, even calls and all other things. Deals are being closed even at a distance. So I feel that it's something that is strategic on the part of the government to look into, to make sure that we have the best of it so that we can grow. Oil is not like what we used to have before. Data is the intake things, and information technology is what is ruling the world. So we must give them that opportunity in such a way that their business grows and survives so that we can grow our economy at large.
All right, just before we wrap up, do you have any parting shot you would like to share?
Yeah, my parting shot is that the government should just be well committed in the area of providing rights security for business environment and make the business environment conducive for every business player in such a way that we can grow the businesses and the masses will be better off for it. Because any situation where the business don't grow, the employees suffer, which is one of the cardinal people that is strategic in business growth. So if the business can grow, the personnel will grow, the country will go, then government will get more taxes for themselves in order to do more other things for the masses.
All right, thank you, Lucius Okwade, the Chairman, Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, Ikeja District Society. Thank you so much for being a part of Business Breakfast.
Thank you very much, Perpetua, for having me. Have a blessed day.
You too.